All right, our second topic. Geno Smith signs a 2-year, $75 million extension with the Las Vegas Raiders. It will tie him to the Raiders through 2027, matches up with Pete Carroll's 3-year contract, and it gives the Raiders some runway. And really, when the Seahawks traded Geno Smith, the general idea was, we don't think we're going to be able to work out the contract that'll work for everybody. And, you have a year left. So if we can't work out a contract, then this by definition isn't going to be a long-term thing. And we think that there's probably a team out there in the Raiders that's more willing to go contractually where you want to go than we are. And I know Geno Smith's goal had been to score a contract in the 40s. If he hits some incentives in this deal on a new money basis, it can get into the 40s. He can get to $87.5 million in new money over the 2 new years of the deal. There's some funny math there, but you'd be talking about over $40 million per year on the new years of the deal, which is good for Geno. And, I think it puts the Raiders in a position now where they don't have to force anything in the draft. And, obviously quarterback's been a question for them since they cut ties with Derek Carr a couple of years ago. This gives them certainty. This gives them the ability now to build up the rest of the roster. And if that opportunity comes, great. This again, and I've used this example in the past, is sort of the Alex Smith long-term bridge plan where if you see that opportunity, you can strike. But in the meantime, you can continue to build up the rest of the roster and continue to work the rest of the roster. So when you do get that young quarterback to come in, you've got an environment that's going to be conducive to him being at the highest level he possibly can as early in his career as you can get him there. So love the move for Geno Smith. Love the move for the Raiders. It creates some stability at that position for them. And now they're sitting there with a 6th overall pick. They can legitimately look at a Jalen Walker, at an Ashton Genty, whoever you might think fits for them, Mason Graham. Those guys are all on the table now for the Raiders. They don't have to force anything at quarterback, which is a good place to be. And I think it speaks to the influence of Tom Brady in the organization too, in that, I was hearing a few months ago that Mark Davis was going to mandate a quarterback being drafted in the first round, similar to what Jim Irsay did with the Colts a couple of years ago, where, going in, you say, okay, we're definitely taking care of the quarterback question in the first round. It's a bad place, I think, for a front office and a coaching staff to be in because there's no telling what you're going to think of the quarterback class, and where your pick is can make it a moving target. In this case, I think, Tom Brady's influence in the organization has calmed those waters a little bit and created a situation where now they can have Geno Smith as their short-term answer and sort of a long-term bridge where it's not just a 1-year bridge, and give yourself the time to let things play out and build the roster in a responsible way.